Hey guys, Zach is back. Today I've got some horror movie recommendations for you all. I try not to take all the usual suspects that everybody has already seen, but I try not to keep it like too obscure that it seems like I'm just being pretentious. What really matters is the quality of the film here. I want to recommend movies that are worth your time, things that linger with you after the credits roll, that do something interesting with the genre. Look, I know I should keep these intros pretty quick, so let's stop the rambling and just get into it. The ritual follows four friends who go hiking through the Swedish wilderness to honor someone that they lost. That set up the grief, the guilt, the nostalgia. It gives a real human atmosphere to the film before anything supernatural even happens. They eventually decide to take a shortcut through the woods, which they quickly realize is a very bad decision. The forest does not want them there. The forest becomes a character. It's silent, it's hostile, it's ancient. The director, David Bruckner, called it a Norse Viking nightmare that modern men had wandered into. The real tension comes from the regret and the guilt among the friends, especially Luke, who is having trouble dealing with his past. It's a slow burn movie that builds up and earns every scare. It puts you in an unfamiliar place just long enough to kind of get your bearings, but then it starts fucking with it. The horror that comes from within, the guilt, the trauma, it mirrors the horror from the outside, the monster, the forest, and everything that the friends go through. I like this movie because I'm really into Norse mythology, and I feel like this film plays really well with it. The runes carved on the trees are actually from the Elder Futhark alphabet. The creature, Moder, is actually taken straight from Norse mythology. It's a Jotun, a child of Loki. It feels mythic and unknowable. It's a chimera of different people that have been sacrificed. Much like the chimera in the film, it's a mix of CGI and practical effects, much like the aliens in Alien Covenant. Okay, I'm sure everyone was expecting a vampire movie on here. I know I've already covered this a bit. It was in the vampire Iceberg, and it's already pretty well known, but I feel like it's one of the best. Dracula lost the love of his life centuries ago, and in his grief and his renunciation of God, he twists into a vampire. And now, centuries later, he's found the reincarnation of his long-lost love. It's very faithful to the novel, but it changes one key aspect. His obsession over Mina was not in the book. Instead, he was driven by this cold, animalistic, and ancient force of evil. He was focused on spreading his curse and not on love. There's a bit of that here still. In the beginning, his main reason to move to England was to spread his curse. But after he encounters Mina, that all changes. He instead starts obsessing over her. This film is very over-stylized to convey the emotions of love and of doom. And that's my main love of this film. I keep coming back over and over because I love the visuals. I love the stark color contrast and the double exposures and all the technical ingenuity that went into it. I also have a big crush on Winona Ryder, so that is another pretty big reason. I really do recommend this film. It's probably the best one on this list and almost definitely one of the best vampire movies out there. You know, I had to include my boy, Mr. GDT, Mr. Guillermo del Toro. This is a story set in Victorian-era England. A young American woman marries this mysterious English aristocrat. She moves to this decaying mansion in the English countryside with her new husband and his sister. She starts seeing these apparitions appear throughout the house and around the property, and she decides to investigate them, which leads her into a much deeper and darker rabbit hole. This film is very much like The Ritual in the sense that the setting, the location is very much a character on its own. Everything is stained with the red clay that the house is built on. It bleeds through the walls, it comes up through the snow, and it covers the ghosts. It's really interesting how they play with it. It's a visually stunning film, and the art, the beauty of it It draws you in before the fear even hits. It's a gothic romance mixed with psychological horror. It's about dread, secrets, and how the past lingers. It's not meant for shock value or jump scares, but those are a part of it. It has some of my favorite ghost designs, and most of them are played by Doug Jones. You know, the guy who played the fish guy in The Shape of Water, and the other fish guy in Hellboy. The entire mansion was actually built on a set in the Pinewood, Toronto studios, which was then torn down after the filming was done. It was actually adapted into a maze for Universal Horror Nights in 2015. You know, I always love a good Del Toro feature. He brings in practical effects and does them in a way that I feel like no other director really can. Layered on top of a great story and a great viewing experience, it makes for an undeniably great movie. This one often goes underappreciated, and I feel like it deserves more recognition for what it achieves. Ari Aster has this certain way of writing his films. They don't start out as horrors, but as family dramas or tragedies first. He focuses on grief and on trauma and dysfunctional dynamics before then layering in horror elements on top of them. In Hereditary, we watch a family deal with the loss of their grandmother. We see the toll that this takes on each family member, but in their grief, it starts to turn into something darker, and secrets that span generations start to surface. Due to Aster's writing style, the film feels very personal. The loss, the grief, the family trauma, it's all very easy to connect to. This is amplified by the performances, especially Toni Collette. You start to care about these people. It builds slowly, the dread, the paranoia. It's very masterfully crafted, and there's no cheap jump scares. It's really a story about generational trauma and how it manifests as this curse on this family. It's the kind of horror that stays in your mind for days afterwards. You keep thinking about it and what everything means. And then when you rewatch it, you find other things to focus on, things that you missed, things that you can speculate on. And it gets to a point where you're finding every minute object is something relevant and something with a deeper meaning to the story. I feel like this is the film that Ari Aster was born to direct. You know, he wrote a 75-page shot list before the location was even found for the movie. The actors gave it their all too. I know I've talked about Toni Collette's performance, but Alex Wolff, he method acted and he stayed as Peter for the entire 3-month shoot. He actually had to check himself into therapy afterwards since it was so much for him. For the desk slamming scene, he actually dislocated his jaw because only the top layer of the desk was foam, and he was hitting it so hard that it basically didn't matter. Some people may disagree with me, but I honestly feel like this is still Ari Aster's best film. Honestly, he's probably one of my favorite directors working today. Every time I watch one of his films, I get these very vivid dreams about something related to the film. Like, I don't want to go too in depth with it because it's fairly personal, but it's a lot. I've never had that experience with any other director. I get these from time to time with other films, but not to the consistency or the frequency that I do with Aster's films. I don't know, maybe I'm undergoing some sort of psychosis. Maybe I've got an Aster affliction, if you will. Now it's time for the final entry on the list. The house that Jack built follows a serial killer named Jack that recounts his career over 12 years to a mysterious figure named Verge. Jack frames each incident, as he calls them, as his artwork. It juxtaposes Jack's violent crimes and his self-praise with his stupid decisions and an artful outlook. It's a meta-commentary on art and violence and Lars von Trier's own controversial filmmaking. What really sells it is Matt Dillon's performance. He's intelligent, he's methodical, he's deeply unsettling and pathetic all at the same time. It's a philosophical dialogue about the nature of art and evil, and it asks the question of whether great suffering can equate to great artwork. It's a very controversial and divided film. It has plenty of disturbing scenes in it. Violence against women, against children, and against animals. Jack is also very misogynistic. He often speaks of women as if they were all stupider than him. Over 100 audience members walked out when it first premiered at Cannes, but those who stayed gave it a 6-minute standing ovation. This film won Best Actor for Matt Dillon and the Best Screenplay for Lars von Trier at the Canary Islands Fantastic Film Festival. I really don't want to spoil too much of this one. It's very introspective and very thought-provoking. It pushes what horror can be, and you feel like you're actually listening to this real serial killer depict his murders. It takes time on every murder, focusing on the minute details as Jack pontificates on how intelligent and talented he is. I will give a final disclaimer. This film is very provocative. It's purposefully provocative. So go in with that in mind. It's a tough film to get through. That being said, I am working on a review for it, so if you could watch it, I would definitely recommend it. So there you have it. 5 films that I think are worth your time. You've got Norse nightmares, tragic vampires, haunted mansions, cursed families, and a serial killer who thinks he's an artist. These are all very different, but they're all genuinely great. I'm curious, have you seen any of these? If you have, which ones hit hardest for you? Are there any that, I missed that you think should be on a list like this? I don't know, maybe I'll make another video. We'll see. Let me know in the comments. I'm always looking for recommendations. And I love horror, so if you've got a good one, please let me know. All right, that's it for me. Like, comment, subscribe. Do what you gotta do. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.